I have come to own an array of studio lighting equipment. Here it all is. I use all of it at different times for different purposes. In this video, I'll show you each setup, what they are, some benefits of them, and some examples of how I use them. I'm not going to go too in-depth with any one light in this video though. I'm working on individual videos for each lighting type, where I'll really get down into the details. Now, let's take a look at the lights. First, I have Speedlights, 3 Nikon SB800s. These can be used on camera and off, and you can do all kinds of lighting effects with them. For when you want to use them off camera, you can use these little stands, which come with them. You can stand them up on a table or other surface, or on a light stand or tripod. They're quite flexible too. The head moves in a bunch of different directions, which, among other things, enables you to balance the light. And you can adjust the power output. Plus, since they're so small, they're good for working in a small area because you can tuck them into corners and other small places. That also makes them great for traveling. And they come with modifiers. These big diffusers and these other attached diffusers and bounced cards. You can get other modifiers for these too. I made these reflectors with cardboard and little bungee cords. These little guys can be used for a variety of lighting effects. You can use them to illuminate the subject for a traditional portrait. Along with illuminating the subject, you can light the backdrop as well. I particularly like using them to blow out the backdrop for a high-key look. Similarly, you can use one behind the subject to create a halo light effect. You can also go low-key with Speedlights. The next type of light I have is Strobes. Like the Speedlights, these are also good for all kinds of lighting effects, but these are bigger and more powerful than Speedlights. I have 2 Alien Bees B800s. There are many different kinds of modifiers available for strobes, but I have an umbrella for each of mine, one shoot-through and one bounce. And these lights came with these light stands. The strobes aren't as small as the Speedlights I showed you before, so they aren't as easily squeezed into a corner or used as background lighting in the studio, but they're still pretty portable. I've traveled around town with these a fair amount. The power output is variable as well. And like I said, they really are pretty good for almost anything. You can take a great traditional portrait with these, or go low key. They freeze motion well because, as with a lot of strobes, the burst of light is super fast. I'll get more into that in my specific video on these lights. You may remember this photo from a moment ago. I illuminated the background with Speedlights, but I am lit by strobes. On to some continuous lights. I have 2 different types of fluorescent continuous lights. First, for the larger of the 2. I have 4 Linco Flora light heads, though you actually only see 3 in this photo, along with softboxes for each one, plus a grid that affixes to the softbox. You can see 2 on regular light stands and 1 on a boom stand. The Floras have a somewhat variable output. They each have 2 switches so that you can have half power or full power. And 2 of these light heads even have remotes so you can turn them on and off from across the room. These lights do take up a lot of space and are not as portable as the Speedlights and strobes that I've shown you, because each light head holds these 6 large and delicate light bulbs. Now, I do have a robust carrying case for these light bulbs, so you can travel with them, but I'll get more into that in my detailed video on these. One of the big benefits of continuous lights is that you can visualize the outcome more easily because the light is always on. Also, I like these with the soft boxes on them because you can get a nice soft light for a portrait, or with the grid to direct the light for a super low-key look. I like to use the boom light along with the Floras on regular stands to do product photography because I can create an effect similar to a light tent. Now I have smaller continuous fluorescent lights as well. These are also from Linco. These light heads are smaller with 1 light bulb each. The Morning Glory convertible soft boxes on them can be made into different configurations to obtain different lighting effects. You can have the softbox open and with the diffuser on or off, like you see here. Or you can close down the softbox into a snoot configuration to get a directed beam of light. These lights are either on or off and don't provide as much light as the Floras I showed you a minute ago, but they're quite useful because of the convertible modifier. And they're much more easily packed for traveling. I particularly like to use these in the snoot position. You can use them to direct light onto a portion of the subject, or you can use one to direct light onto the subject and another to direct light onto the backdrop for a different effect. And the last type of lighting I'll show you today is work lights. These are hardware store halogen continuous lights. These lights do provide a harsh type of lighting effect and are not built for modifiers. But you can get creative with bouncing the light to get a nice portrait, or even get super creative with putting things in front of the light, far in front of the light so that it doesn't catch fire, and you can create a whole different look. Now, I've gone through and shown you each of my lighting setups and a few photos taken using each one, but I didn't go into detail about each one, and I certainly didn't show you all the different types of lighting effects that you can do with each type. I will be posting videos about each of these lighting types where I delve a little bit deeper into the uses of each type, like cost, drawbacks and benefits, how I trigger the strobes and speedlights, and more creative effects that you can do. You may have noticed some new photos in this video. I have posted one of them at SnapChick.com for everyone, along with some of the settings that I used. I also have a gallery of images for VIPs, plus a video where I talk about each setup.